School is out for the summer, and everybody around the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota area is wondering what they can do to keep their kiddos busy during this summer break. So we're coming to you today from our South Tropicals lot to talk a little bit about one of my favorite projects for the summer, and that is planting a kid-friendly garden. Kids and plants are a great combination. It's a way to get them outside. Today we're going to be talking about one of our most kid-friendly plants that we sell here at Gertens. We're talking about bug-eating or carnivorous plants. Here we have our pitcher plants, which are these guys here. They look like big tubes. We have sundews, which are these guys here. They kind of look like big octopuses with little red suckers on them. And then we have the one everybody knows, the famous Venus flytrap. And we have two types of Venus flytraps here today. We have the long-toothed kind and we have the short-toothed kind. Let's talk a little bit about how each type of plant consumes their prey and why they need to do that. Venus flytraps, what they'll do is a bug will crawl into the trap and it will trigger the tiny little hairs on the inside of the trap. You can kind of see them if I tilt there. You can kind of see the little trigger hairs, trapping the bug and allowing the fly trap to consume it over time. The sundews, which we have right here, these guys actually have sticky pads, and that's what all these little tiny red hairs are for. And the sticky pads, you can actually see a couple of bugs that are stuck. You can see a couple of its victims right on this leaf here. Over time, the sundew will eat that bug stuck right on the leaf. And finally, we have pitcher plants, which are these three. We have different sizes of pitcher plants here. We have the purple pitcher plant, which is actually a native throughout all of North America. This plant is also native, a smaller version of this right here in the Boundary Waters area of Minnesota. We also have these large pitcher plants here. You can see all of the tiny little hairs on the pitchers. Yes.
They actually once it's it's in there, they'll swoop down and get consumed. And be careful about these ones are so big, they could hurt you.
No, they can't hurt you.
They could if you put your finger in there.
You won't get hurt by the plant.
No.
See, watch Mama. There we go. Oh, see, closed, but he didn't get me. No, so you don't ever have to worry about getting hurt. People are not going to get hurt by bug-eating plants. They're not man-eaters. What happens with these guys is they'll land on the lip of the pitcher plant, slide into the bottom of the pitcher, and get stuck right in the bottom down in here, and then the plant consumes it in the little pool of liquid that's down at the bottom of each of these traps. So each of the different carnivorous plants that we have on the table today consume their prey in different ways. They're what we call a bog plant. So they live in swampy coastline areas where there's not a lot of nutrient in the soil naturally, so they have to find nutrients in other ways. Plants get their nutrients through two processes: the making of chlorophyll, which is eating sunlight, but also through their root system, using the nutrients that are in their soil. So if they live in an area where there isn't a lot of nutrient in their soil, they have to come up with other strategies to get those nutrients. And carnivorous plants get those nutrients by consuming insects, which are plentiful, of course, in wet coastline areas. All right, so are you guys ready to plant some plants?
Yeah!
All right.
One more thing.
Okay, I like it.
Normal plants also need water.
They do need water, and in fact these plants need a lot of water because again they live on the coastlines or on the sides of watery areas just like our ponds here. So it's really important if you are going to do a carnivorous garden that you do one of two things. Either you create it as we are going to today as a bog garden, where you put it physically into a pond or a wetland or a marshy area. And we've got a lovely little bowl which is perfect for this. Now this particular bowl I've actually knocked out the drainage so that it can go into our water garden display here. And then it's going to soak up the water through the display. The water is going to create a nice wet soil for these guys, so they're going to be really, really happy. If you don't have a pond or a wet area in your yards, and instead of knocking out your drainage, you want to leave that hole intact so that it doesn't drain out, and then just keep this bowl well watered. If you notice after a big rainstorm that there's standing water in the bowl, just gently pour it out so that there's no more standing water. You want to keep these guys moist, and if possible, use rainwater or distilled water or pond water to water them. You guys ready to plant some plants?
Yeah!
All right.
And we actually have some at home because we have pond water.
We do have pond water, so right at home we do have some carnivorous plants, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the types of soil that you can use. Now, because these guys are going into a pond, I'm going to be using a pond plant aquatic medium here. So this is a soil that is for plants that are going to live in a pond, just like our friends here. This is a great medium to use if you are planting any kind of aquatic or marginal plants. But if you're doing carnivorous plants at home, you don't have to use this. You can also use a mix of 2/3 peat moss to 1/3 dry sand, and you just mix that together and put it right in your bowl. For those folks who want to go peat free, you can also use cocoa fiber, or you can even use a long fibered sphagnum moss. And then you take your biggest plant, and we're going to put this big guy right in the middle here. Okay, so when we're unpotting a plant, no matter what kind of plant it is, we want to take our little tags out, and we're going to gently cradle the bottom of our plant with our hand. I'm going to tip up our pot and then gently remove him. So now if you notice, I've got my big plant in the middle here, and he's sitting right at the soil level where he would be in his pot. So now we're going to take the rest of our medium. Holly, do you want to help kind of fill this in here? Okay, that looks better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now we've got our bowl more or less filled, not filled all the way. So now you guys have to decide, and this is the part where kids can really help, where do you want to put the rest of your plants? I really like having, when you're doing a kids garden, having the kids have some of the power in making decisions about the garden. What plants do they want in there? Where do they want to put them? Because that gives them ownership over the project. So why don't you guys kind of put the pots where you think you want your plants? So then let's make sure that they're all spread out so they all have their own room in the bowl here. Everybody needs to have their own room so they're nice and even. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take each plant out of its pot and we're going to put it right in the hole. Now, of course, if you want to, you can use, hold on, Holly, we're just going to do one at a time. You can use a shovel. I am not that fussy, so I'm just going to make a little hole in each spot with my hands. And we're going to just nestle them right in there.
I'll help you, Mom.
You're going to help? Perfect. I love it. Holly, why don't you try doing yours? So remember what we said. We're going to put it on its side. We're going to kind of tip it out. Holly, yours is really low, so it might be a little bit harder. I might have to help you here. Sometimes you have to just give it a whap on the butt of the pot to get it to come out. So then what are you going to do to make your hole? Yep, you're going to just make a hole with your hand. Stick your plant right in there. Make sure that you don't get your, there you go, and you want it down really nice and far. Okay. And again, if you get a little bit of soil on the traps, it's fine. Plants live in soil. They'll get over it. I promise you they will be okay if they get a little bit of soil in them. We want to make a little bit bigger hole than that. Here, let's use the cup to kind of get some of the soil out of the way, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, now try putting it down. All right, good job. I'm gonna get it nestled down in there. We're gonna put all the soil back around it. Good job.
So I just like...
Yep, if you take it and just kind of cradle it on the side, it should just kind of come out. There you go. And it's okay if some of the soil falls away. It's really about the root system and not about the soil that the plant came in. So as long as you're not ripping roots apart, you're all okay to go. Yep, excellent, well done. Here's your friend.
My friend?
Mm-hmm. And it's good to know that when you're gardening is messy, and messy is okay. You know, all of this is clean-upable. There's no reason to get upset if hands get dirty. Hands are washable. If surfaces get dirty, surfaces are washable. This is all part and parcel of gardening, and of having kids working in the garden is a little bit of mess. So now all of our little friends are in. We're going to gently pat each soil area down to make sure that they're nice and settled into their planting medium.
I'll do this one. I'm gonna do this.
Okay, we're gently and firmly patting. Okay, so now we've got everybody all planted. And what's the next step after we plant the plants? What do you think we're going to do next?
Put water in.
Water them, that's right. So let's go ahead. Ivy, you can do the first water. Holly, you can do the second water because we're going to need more than one water. So we want to be nice and generous with our watering.
Can I do the next water? I'll do the next water.
Okay, so Ivy, where do you think you should get water from? Because these plants don't like faucet water. Where should you get the water from?
The pond.
The pond, that's right. Good job. Now, make sure you get it low because the leaves don't need to be watered. The plant does. The root system does. So we always want to water low when we're watering our plants.
Let's get
One more water. I like it. We're just going to kind of spread it around on the top of the bowl, a little bit here, a little bit there, just kind of in between the plants. This is going to help to lock some of the moisture in. It's going to make the pot prettier, and it's just fun. It's fun to decorate. Okay, so now here we have our entire completed carnivorous garden. Now the last step for our garden here is going to be to place it in our water feature. So for that, I've got a little stand. So now we've got our stand in our pond. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put the bowl into the pond in the stand. And you can see that the bottom of the bowl is sitting right in the water. The top of the plants are out of the water. So the water is going to be really wet, but the plants aren't going to be standing in water. So this is going to keep them happy all summer long. And again, if you don't have a pond at home, no big deal. Just make sure that you're regularly watering your carnivorous bowl, that you don't have drainage because you want to keep it nice and wet. And during rainstorms afterwards, make sure that you're tipping out any standing water. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah!
Yeah! Awesome! Can we give a big thank you for joining us today, everybody. And we hope that you have a summer full of fun and education.